All right, next up we have the killers. Hi Rob, hi Rob, hi Rob, hi Rob. We're all here hanging out. It's all good. Okay, tell us all about the killers.
Okay, so basically the killers is about this like diner cafe place where there is a younger server and an older server, and this guy just like eating, just minding his business, just like a customer. And basically these two guys come in actually, and they're talking, and then all of a sudden they like take the person who's just eating mindlessly and the younger server into the back, and they're like, we're gonna go talk to the cook about something. And so they tie them all up in there, and they basically are like, okay, so this guy comes in here every day at 6 o'clock, and we're waiting for him so we can kill him. And they're just like, okay, what? And then ends up that the guy doesn't come. So they kind of freak out and like, why isn't he here? Okay, we have to go find him. And so then the younger server guy, he is kind of like, oh my god, like we need to go and basically like warn him this is gonna happen. Like we can't just let this guy die. And the older guy's just kind of like whatever, like doesn't like care as much about the situation, like is kind of on the more saying like there's nothing I can do, it's fine. And so this younger guy goes to this house of this guy who was basically a former sumo wrestler, and he's the guy who's going to get killed, and he's like, hey, like I just like came here to tell you basically that these people are trying to kill you, like I just think you should know so you can get out and so you can leave, like I don't want this to happen to you. And the guy's like, yeah, I know. He's like been staring at the wall, like hasn't left his bed. His servers all like coming to him and like beating him. He's like, I'm waiting for them here. They'll come. And the younger server's just taken back by this and is like, what? Like, why would you want to do that? So he goes back to the diner and is like, he knew. And like, he's not leaving. He's not trying to get out. And he's just like, the older server's basically just like, don't worry about it. Let it go. It doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Shouldn't matter to your life. And then so they never really know if the guy gets killed or not, which is really interesting. And it's a weird thing because it's just kind of talking about like ages and growing, like how kind of just like the importance of life to certain people, and how important that should be, and like if like everybody's life is equal, or if there is like a higher, like this person's life is more important than this person's, which is kind of an interesting thing to try and figure out, because a lot of parts of the story have been like, well, it doesn't matter to you, like shouldn't matter to you, it's just that person's life like isn't as important, or like this guy's older, this guy's younger, like what is like the real importance of it, and like how do you judge that? So I don't really think you can, but I mean it's argued in the story on one end that you could. So basically that's what it's about.
Nice. And are there any moments or sort of mini scenes in the story that you could describe in greater detail?
I think the whole thing was really sad. Mostly I think all of Hemingway is kind of sad, which is fine. Like sad stories aren't bad. It's just like there's a lot of sad stories. But I think it was just really interesting seeing him go to this house, because I think everybody, like when you're first in it, it's really drastic. Like nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden everything's happening, and so you're really just from hearing this, you don't know these people, you don't know why they're like basically the two guys are assassins. Basically, not really, but like they're like our friend. He isn't our friend. Our friend wants us to kill him. We're gonna kill him. And so, without knowing anything else about the story, you're on the side of this guy they're trying to kill. So you're with this younger server and you're kind of fighting for that. And you're like, oh my god, like yes, get to him, tell him you don't want him to die. You don't even know him, but you don't want him to die. Like that's the whole point. So it's such a weird thing when like you're like flipping through the pages and you're ready for that like climactic moment where like he'll run away, or like you'll get to see that like happy ending of like that he saved the day and that all this stuff happened, and you really just kind of are kind of dumbfounded by the fact that like you get to this house and you're like ready to like help him, and he's just laying there like I've fought enough, like I'm ready to leave. And it's interesting because like just because of what time it is and everything in Chicago where it's based, at like the mafia probably had a lot to do with like the police force.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's always wondering like, oh, like why didn't they call the police? And a lot of actually my classmates made a point to be like, oh yeah, they probably couldn't because there were probably a lot of bad people that were invested in that too, which was interesting. So you don't have that much, they didn't have that much power, but it's just a weird thing because he's just sitting there and he's like waiting for death.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like not old or anything, like not super old, and he's not like, he just seems like he has like nothing to live for, and it's like, it's not the story that you wanted. Yeah. Which I think is almost what makes Hemingway so great. He's just so unpredictable. Like you don't really know what you're getting. Like you think just from prior reading of just life in reading anything, you just kind of are ready for that. Like there's about this much where just kind of steadily happening. This part where like it all goes to shit. And like this part where like you get your happy ending. And like you don't get that with Hemingway at all. Like he leads you up. He builds it up the whole time and then he leaves it down. I never get that little like happy part, which is, I mean, I like his stories. I think he's a good writer, but I'm always just a little sad that not like one that I've read so far gives me that like that build. It's in every movie, every book. Like I just know like when I'm here, here, and here. He does not give me the last there, and it's hard. But I was just kind of sad because I was like, oh man, like I was so ready for like this great fight that this guy was gonna fight. Then maybe they'd like battle and like the sumo wrestler guy would win and it'd be great and I would be like so great. And I was like, oh man, he doesn't even want to live. Like that's such a struggle.
Totally. Yeah. Awesome. And does this story have any like personal connections or contemporary relevance? What would you take away from it?
It made me think. The story kind of made me think because we were all talking about like how it really talks about like how the importance of one person's life compared to another person's. Mm-hmm. And it just brought up interesting thoughts because just in politics and in life when like people have different opinions than you or people have like different views or just like live their lives differently, you tend to think no matter what those people are like that you are like that your life's the important life. Like if you think about it, like even people with like Obamacare and stuff like that, when it's like not helpful to you, you don't care about who it helps. Which is like just an interesting thing for me to think that like everybody has that bias. Like, oh well, my life's more important. And I think it's just weird to think that like even I sometimes have that bias when I think about people that just like have opinions that I think are screwed up. I'm like, well, they don't matter, they're unimportant, they're irrelevant people. So I think that was just like kind of an interesting thing for me to think about when reading it, about kind of how people think about how important somebody's life is. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to say about The Killers?
I think I'm good.